My name is Stu Abramson. I'm president of Doylestown Historical Society, and this is an exciting time for us. We are launching, as I think everybody knows, a new literary journal. We modeled it after the publication from the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, HSP. This journal, which I cleverly hid underneath our little patch up here, has been in existence for 143 years. So we thought that was a good thing to emulate, if you will. So we have plenty of media coverage. We have a nice crowd here, and we have a great story, too. The story is that, less than a year ago, Don Swaim, who's sitting here, raise your hand, Don, who is the founder and leader of the Bucks County Writers Workshop, and I got together. In fact, it was at Books Fest last year. We had adjoining tables, and we talked, and he told me about, what his group was doing, and I told him about what our group is doing. There was a beautiful mesh of objectives between the two organizations. One thing led to another, and that basically led us to this evening when we are very close to finishing up this initial version of our journal. It's a historical and literary journal of Bucks County. Not necessarily in the order I just mentioned, but that's what it is. So we have been meeting, we have been assembling staff, and we are well positioned to have hard copy of this book available for Book Fest, which will be the 13th of October. I believe that's a Sunday. And so that will be available at Book Fest, of course available here at the Historical Society, and also available at the bookshop, one block up. And there will be other locations that it will be available. It will also be available on Amazon. We will have a print version as well as a digital version available. Anyway, that's a little bit of the background of what we've been doing. We've been working pretty good for the last almost 1 year assembling our staff. We got a great staff, and making arrangements with Amazon. We have a website which will be ready to launch in about a week or so. So things are moving along very well. As you may or may not know, I know the Don's writers are aware that we had a little bit of a contest for this inaugural issue where we had an advisory committee, and I'm going to speak a little bit more about the advisory committee, chose from the submissions the top ones, and we're going to give awards out to those top people. So rather than hear me drone on more, what I'm going to do at this time is to introduce to you our managing editor, who is David Updike, who will take you through the staffing and what it means to be an editor of a journal of this nature. David.
Basically, I want to talk a little bit about the Bucks County Writers Workshop. I know a number of you are members, I see out there tonight. I've been a member for just over a year, which actually still makes me the new guy. And I think that in itself is a testament to Don Swaim, that people come to this group and they stay there for a long time. He founded the workshop and has been running it for 2 decades now. And it's a remarkable group of people. It's writers at all different stages of their development, from seasoned professionals to people who are first taking those baby steps towards publication. And as a group, they give tough, honest feedback, but they're also supportive and kind and generous and encouraging. And that's a rare combination, I can tell you, from having belonged to a couple different types of writers groups over the years, and very valuable to somebody who's trying to make their way in a very difficult endeavor. Earlier this year, Don, when he asked me if I would be interested in editing the journal, I was both honored and relieved. I was honored because it was an opportunity to be part of launching a new literary journal, and I was relieved because I hadn't actually submitted anything for the journal, and I felt a little bit guilty about that. So I'm glad to have a chance to contribute as an editor, which is what I do for a living. I work at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I edit books for them, and I've worked on a number of other projects for other people over the years. So it's a chance to bring what I've been doing to this group, and I'm really grateful for that. It's been wonderful to work with Stu and Don. They're so committed to this project. I can tell you they're always 2 steps ahead of us, and I think it's going to be a really cool thing. I just want to say a couple words about history fiction and historical fiction. What we're doing with Neshaminy is, I think, something pretty unique. We're telling the story of a particular place, but we're doing it through a variety of genres. We're doing it through fiction, we're doing it through history, we're doing it through biography, through poetry, through memoir, through photography, through illustration. And all of those genres together allow us to tell a much deeper and broader story than we could with just one. Our contributors have drawn from a lot of resources to create the stories, and there are abundance of materials available. A lot of them are right here in this building, and I know that some of our writers have been taking advantage of those archives and others. And they've used them to very different ends. Some of them have opted to take a familiar figure that we all may have heard of and tell us, we probably know through their work more than anything about the person, and kind of invite us into their home and let us be part of their lives. Other people have decided to take a deeper dive and to try to resurrect voices that may have been buried by our history, particularly people of color, women, Native Americans, and you'll see a lot of stories that have done that in this journal. And I think that's something that fiction particularly can do, because the received history hasn't adequately represented those people. So we have to fill in the gaps a little bit. But it has to be grounded solidly in research in order to be effective. So it's a good combination. It's where the fiction and history can come together in a creative way. We're very grateful to our advisory board, 9 people who have volunteers who have decided to be involved and give their time and their considerable experience to reading all of the entries, judging the entries, ranking them. That's been enormously helpful to us in putting together the first issue, and also, of course, in picking our 3 prize winners who we're here to honor tonight. A couple other people I want to thank. Bill Donohue is helping out with the editorial tasks. We're passing things back and forth every day now, pretty much. And I also want to thank my colleague at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, Rebecca Quinn, who gave us this beautiful design that we will carry forward with future issues. Also Ron Moran for the photography. I know he's here somewhere. He gave us some beautiful photographs to work with, and we're gonna do 2 issues a year, fall, winter, spring, summer, and he gave us wonderful photographs year-round. They all feature Neshaminy Creek in some way. But there's such a variety that I think we'll have a lot to work with going down through future issues. I also want to thank Pat Achilles. I don't know if she's here or not, back there, who's provided some great illustrations for the initial issue. And it's been a great team. It's been a great experience, and I'm really happy to be part of it. And I want to turn things over to Bill Donohue, who is our assistant managing editor.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. As everyone said, I'm Bill Donohue, and I'm part of the editorial team here for Neshaminy, and also a member of Don Swaim's Bucks County Writers Workshop. I've been part of the group for 10 years almost now, on and off. I think I missed 2 years here and there just when life got in the way. But it's really been a wonderful experience being part of the group, and I'm honored to be part of this project. Led by Don, David, and Stu, I think our team has created something really unique and something that is very worthy of a part of the world that has really such a rich history and artistic heritage. And that's a lot of things that we're doing with the magazine. For me, I was a Philly kid, and I moved up here at Bucks County when I was a teenager. My parents decided to get the kids out of the city. And I'm not sure what I thought about Bucks County at first. I grew up in Southampton. And back then, I guess I didn't really quite grasp what made Bucks County Bucks County. But now I do get it. And now I kind of see that there's really no other place that's quite like what we have here. Which brings us back to Neshaminy. One of the primary goals, David talked about this a little bit, is really to highlight some of the people and the places that have made this part of the world so special. In fact, you're going to read about some of them in our very first issue, which is knee-deep in the production process as I stand here tonight. To me, what's most exciting about this publication is that it presents an opportunity and it creates a platform to introduce new voices and new people who have something to say. And we're excited to introduce some of them here to you this evening. I'm going to turn it back to Stu and Nathan.
Thank you, Bill and David. Before we go any further, let me explain a couple of things. Number one, the name Neshaminy. That's a very familiar name to everybody here. We were a little bit concerned about the overuse of that Lenape name, Neshaminy. However, in searching around for an appropriate name for our journal, we could not come up with anything better. That is, we don't think there is anything better than the name Neshaminy, that is named for a 41-mile waterway that goes right through the heart of Bucks County and touches many of the towns from which these stories are coming from. So it is rich in the Neshaminy Creek or waterway is rich in not only the just basic history of the area, but the landscape of it and the culture of the people, also very much embedded in that Neshaminy waterway. So that's the name. Bill or David mentioned that our photographer extraordinaire, Ron Moran, who sits here, is the one who took that photo. I wanted to make sure that Ron gets recognition for that, and as somebody I think maybe mentioned, that we will change that picture to fall and spring according to the issue that we publish, and Ron has a bank of photographs, and he's always taking new ones of various places on the Neshaminy. So that's great. Pat Achilles is a well-known illustrator. Her work has appeared in the New Yorker magazine and other places as well, and we are extremely fortunate and appreciative that Pat is going to be well represented with this journal. Thank you very much, Pat. The advisory committee is, as somebody mentioned, comprised of 9 members. We have 2 of those members here today, and I'd like to kind of cite them. One is Colleen Dunn in the back there. Colleen is make sure I get this right, co-chair of BookFest, co-director of BookFest, and we are very fortunate to have Colleen and her colleague, Amy, who is not able to be with us today. So we have 2 representatives of BookFest where we will be offering or launching the hard copy of this magazine. The other member of the advisory committee who is here today is Nathan Halter. Where is Nathan? Oh, right, cleverly hidden in front of me, right? Nathan will be speaking as soon as I introduce him and tell you a little bit more about the committee that we have assembled, and also will be presenting the awards that we did mention. One other person I should acknowledge, since this is actually another anniversary day, most everybody here, I think, is familiar with the Herald. Even if you're not, you better say so, because the Herald is covering this event. Connie is here. So you have noticed that on the editorial page there is an article called History Lives. History Lives, right? Well, the author of History Lives is sitting right there. Her name is Susan Abramson. Her name is, the last name is the same last name as mine, not by coincidence. And the reason why it is kind of a milestone is the article that appears in today's Herald will be the last one by Susan Abramson. So after 7 years, she is retiring from that job. She wanted to do it a whole lot earlier than today. But I kind of talked her into staying for a while. So the new author will be another volunteer from the society. Her name is Jean Arallo. I do not see Jean here today, which is a shame. I certainly would like to have introduced her to you tonight. But I think in this issue of the Herald today, the first issue that Jean will author. I think those are the people that I wanted to mention. So with that, I will bring up Nathan Halter from our advisory committee to present the awards.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see y'all. So the entries into the Neshaminy Journal Literary Contest revealed remarkable imagination, research, and writing ability. Our community contains a wealth of talent, most of which will be on display in the inaugural issue. We received 21 entries in numerous categories: fiction, history, biography, journalism, poetry, and of course historical fiction. The fiction included impressive flights of imagination from the supernatural to science fiction, as well as traditional short stories. And like I mentioned before, lots of historical fiction, which befits our location here in Bucks County. Every entry was imbued with great affection for this region, warts and all sometimes, and reflected rigorous standards of research. All the entries were accorded careful attention by our panel of 9 judges, who were drawn from the world of publishing, journalism, bookselling, and bookfesting. That said, we had to choose what we felt were the best. Best is such a subjective concept. We all have different notions of what constitutes good writing or good storytelling, and a lot of it can depend on what we as readers are bringing to the table. I can't speak for the other judges, but I thought I'd share, as a judge and a reader, what I was looking for as I read the entries. First, and maybe most importantly, I was looking for a sense of place. I wanted to feel that Bucks County was essential to the story, a character in its own right. I asked myself the question, could this story exist in its present form without Bucks County? Or could it be set in some nameless town or region and be the same? Second thing I was looking for is a facility with language, and that's probably the most subjective thing of all. Personally, when it comes to short pieces, I'm drawn to economy of language, where the author has carefully chosen each and every word, and I want the words to dance and live on the page as well. To put it another way, all killer, no filler. Finally, I want authenticity, for the characters and the places to not feel written, but instead to feel alive, real, and complex. Writing a short piece and being able to accomplish all of that is an incredibly difficult thing to do, but I was really happy and pleased to find that so many authors capably rose to the challenge. With all that said, the voting was very, very close, resulting in some ties. And so we are left with 5 honorable mentions, 2 runners-up, and 1 grand prize winner. On to the awards now, starting with the honorable mentions. Up first is a touching ghost story about one of Bucks County's more colorful residents. Told in the first person, this story imagines the spirit of Abby Hoffman revisiting the canal along the Delaware and appearing to certain individuals on a certain day. For its open-hearted spirit and its sense of wonder and surprise, we recognize One April Day by Linda Wisniewski. Is Linda here? Yeah, come on up. Here's your certificate, and if you would like to say anything.
Thank you.
Sure.
I appreciate it, and I'm a former member, and I learned everything I know about writing from the Bucks County Writers Workshop.
Our next honorable mention goes to a piece of historical fiction in the form of a compelling imagined argument to protest the naming of this very town we're in tonight, Doylestown. Presented as a letter from an elderly former slave to the governor of Pennsylvania, the story brings to light some lost history and is told in a convincing voice of indignation. The full title of this story is Cujo's Relegation by Flip of Guinea Run, but its real author, who wasn't able to be here tonight, is Will Kirk. So, from historical fiction, we go up next to is an article about a piece of Bucks County history, actually two pieces. We all know that the fields around here hold many fragments of Native American tools, weapons, and containers. Few caused as much excitement and debate as a broken stone found by a boy a century and a half ago. It appeared to show, among other markings, a hunter facing down a woolly mammoth. Was it a historic find, or was it a fraud? The fascinating debate is recounted in a deeply researched entry, The Lenape Stone by Don Swaim. Part of the joy of reading these pieces was seeing place names that we all know, but that we can learn more about and seeing them in a different way. In a piece of historical fiction set in December 1776, we see the aftermath of battle in Buckingham Township, hear rumors of an impending attack on Trenton, and warm up inside Bogart's Tavern. For its vivid depiction of revolutionary Bucks County and its dramatic slice of history, we salute The Battle of Pawnacussing Creek by David Jarrett.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
I'd just like to say that I'm very appreciative and thankful for this award, and I would like to acknowledge all the gain that I achieved through the Don Swaim and the Bucks County Writers Workshop. Without them, this wouldn't be possible, so thank you.
Our last honorable mention combines gauzy nostalgia with a sense of dread. Reflecting considerable research, this short story depicts the carefree lives of residents of Doylestown who are going about their day. A 4-H meeting, a church supper, a matinee at the county theater. But the day in question is December 7th, 1941, and the life of our young protagonist will change forever, as will so many other lives. This story is simply titled December Sunday, 1941, also written by Don Swaim. Now we come up to the three winners. In third place, we again return to Bucks County for another chapter set during the Revolution. But this time, we experience life through the eyes of a farm girl who is sold into servitude by her desperate father. We get a vivid description of the struggles and brutality of 18th century farming in an exciting story that earned third place, Behind the Rebellion by David Jarrett. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to add that I thank my wife, Cindy, my long-suffering wife, who, as all writers know, they have a long-suffering spouse, who once said, "Why are you always on your damn computer?" This is why.
Finishing in second place was a feel-good biographical sketch about one of Doylestown's favorite sons and one of the greatest lyricists in history, Oscar Hammerstein II, a man of prodigious talent and unshakable integrity. This entry was chock full of biographical detail, wonderful anecdotes, and a strong sense of place, specifically Highland Farm on the edge of town. The article was cleverly divided into sections with titles drawn from his lyrics, and we feel this should be required reading in music classes in the Central Bucks School District. Our second prize goes to Oscar Hammerstein, Highland Farm, and the Sound of Music by Natalie Diane. Congratulations. And now we're on to our grand prize winner. As I said earlier, we judges enjoyed poetry, history, biography, and all kinds of fiction, much of which drew from our county's remarkable past. Some stories were disturbing, others were amusing. The grand prize winner recalls the past, but takes place in the present day. It is about Bucks County, but it is set 1,400 miles away. It is about a serious topic, but is told in lively language that contains plenty of laughs. Its characters are well drawn and sympathetic, and the pacing is note perfect. It even touches on current-day politics without getting preachy. For his story about the Lenape Nation and the endless struggle for fairness, we award the grand prize to Bill O'Toole for his short story, The World-Famous Bucks County Casino.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the writers group as well, and Don. Don, as you know, I was a little skeptical about this project, and I've been through some others, the Yellow Bus, where we wrote, finished each other's chapters one after another. But this proved to be challenging, and I enjoyed reading the other submissions that went through the group and look forward to reading the others. I also want to thank the fellow group members who really helped me a lot with their tough, honest criticism of my work, not just this work, but over the years, and my wife for putting up with me on the computer every morning. And thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And I just wanted to say it was a real honor serving on the committee. I'm Bucks County born and raised, and I learned a lot about the history of Bucks County that I'd never known before. And yeah, it was a real pleasure reading everybody's work. And with that, I'm now going to turn it back over to Stu.
I love working with motivated volunteers, and I think you get a sense of that listening to these people speak here. Everybody is a volunteer. Nobody gets paid. One tiny exception to that I won't bother you with. But thank you again for coming. I can't thank you enough. We look forward to October the 13th when the hard copy of this book will be available. I hope you buy a copy. I hope you'll continue to buy copies as we continue to issue new versions of the magazine. Thank you again for coming, and please drive carefully going home. Thank you.